Hey everyone, welcome to another Decisions Lunch and Learn, the last one for this week. I'm going to be your host today, Gregory Goldston, on this February 27th. And a reminder that we have an Agentic AI webinar coming up today. It's going to start at 1, so ideally after this Lunch and Learn ends. So feel free to join that, register on our website, decisions.com. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun, or at least gain some insight onto how that functionality works with decisions. We've got our YouTube channel, of course, top right, take a look at that. It's got a lot of content that gets posted there, and it continually gets uploaded by us. And another reminder, if y'all don't know already, we got the additional EST stand-up that's going to occur on the business days that were open from 2 to 3. That is in addition to the one that goes on from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. All right, that's as far as our announcements go. So I am going to swap to my decision screen, and y'all should be able to see what I got going in just a moment. Pardon the interruption, and there we go. Okay. People may start putting questions in the chat now. Highly recommended even. And Justin, I see you're the only one here right now. I got your question here. Let me let you talk. I got your question about the issue that you're seeing. I'll ask you a little bit more clarifying details, but let me at least go over what I've got built out in regards to the flow recursion issue. So there are two different kinds of flow recursion that you can see errors for in your environment. And one of them has to deal with how many times recursions can happen within a flow. That's the recursion policy. You go to property settings, and right here it's set by 20,000 to default. So if you have a loop that's running through over and over and over and over and over again, and it goes through more than 20,000 times, you're probably going to hit this error right here. Another option that you might see is the allow flow start recursion. This has to deal with flows calling itself, or maybe a flow being called from itself, and decisions recognizing, hold on, we could get stuck in infinite loop here. So while this is on, you're safe, right? So if I were to debug this, and by the way, this setup, I'm just calling my flow as itself in a subflow. So if I keep clicking on this, we'll just go down to infinite subflows. If I debug this, it will run a lot of times, but then you'll see at the very bottom one here, it actually stops. And we get an error. This is talking about the flow recursion policy, right? Flow-based recursion detected. If this recursion was intentional, you can allow that property in order to bypass that issue. So the way that we do that is we click on the topmost flow. We're going to go down to, oh, I apologize. We're going to go to the properties in the topmost flow that we're in, drop down settings, and then check this box right here. Okay, so now that that's checked, if I save this and try running this again, you will see this starts filling up very quickly, and it's just going to keep going. Look how slow everything got. I'm going to exile the debugger before it gets much worse. But that is how you can allow recursion within your environment. Now, sometimes decisions picks up on potential spots of recursion. So you may see that error that was mentioned, even though with your logic, it wouldn't normally happen. So decisions is just looking for anything that could potentially cause a problem in recursion, which might be why you're seeing that error. But before I say anything further, Justin, you should be able to talk now. I'd like to understand if that's what you meant by your pre-submitted question regarding the flow recursion policy.
Yeah, that's basically what I was referring to. I have a branching for each that's hitting two different flows within it, and for some reason, it's saying that those flows might have recursion, and so it's causing it to error out. And as far as I can tell, there should be no recursion. There's nothing calling the top or the top flow or any other flows within it.
Interesting. Out of curiosity, those two branching flows that you have running, are they runtime selection or are they static?
Not quite sure I know what you mean.
So You have a for each loop, and you said it branches? Like, is it
So I
breaking?
have a branch for each step. So instead of just a for each, it's the top
Ah,
one there.
I gotcha. I gotcha. All right. So branching for each step. Let me exit out, pass that in. Okay. So branching for each, and I don't think I have any user defined. I'll just pick a string for this one right now. And then you pass in a list of strings. Okay. And if I do that for each item, okay, gotcha. I wonder why it's not passing out more than that. So, and what does this go off to afterward? Like, what does this particular part hit?
So I have it hit a flow that checks for basically looks to see if a user is already in the system or not. Uh, and it has a action if the user is not in the system. Assignment, sorry, not an action.
An assignment.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, then it goes through another for loop, uh, which then hits another potential assignment, checking roughly the same thing, just a different type of user.
Hmm.
And then it all hits once that for loop's done, it goes to the end of the where it merges and then ends the flow.
I gotcha. Okay. I would recommend, in order, if you're just trying to avoid that, I would just check this button here, set the recursion policy to off, and, well, actually, you don't need to set it to off. As long as you check this button here and save it, that should dismiss the error that you're seeing in your environment. If there is potential for recursion, I would put in a support ticket because they can take a look at your project specifically and identify areas that decisions, whether it's an actual recursion or not, decisions might look at and say, oh, that has the potential for, so and so.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was looking for was where decisions thinks there's a potential recursion because I'm not
So
seeing it.
when you run this in the debugger here, I'm gonna do this. It should specify the flow that gets hit with that recursion. So right here, when you go down and see the exception details, detected in flow recursion issue. That's the name of the flow. So this is where it's finding that particular recursion policy. If you're getting something that looks like this, you can just search that flow ID directly in the portal as well, because it should spit that out for you if this is the error that you're getting. So I'll show you copy, exit, exit right there. It pulls to that. So if I go inside of this, which is this flow, and then set the properties in that flow where that's possibly occurring to here and save it, that should bypass that issue from showing up.
Okay, that's what I had already done just to at least bypass it because I know there isn't a problem. But yeah,
Yeah, it would be somewhere in that flow detecting. I'm not going to be able to say exactly what that logic is without being able to see your project specifically. Things to check though are what I meant by runtime flow was like setting this, if it's a subflow, instead of having pick, you have it set to runtime selection. And then maybe your target ID will never hit the main flow again, but your dummy flow might be set to one of the flows that's inside of that flow. And I'm wondering, even though it will never hit this, if that would be what was causing that. That's just a theory, though. I have not seen your environment.
that would make sense, and I can check that, see if that fixes it.
Yeah, that, and then if you can call the same flow twice within the same logic, of course. I'm just wondering if the assignment setup. No, that. Hmm. No, I can't say for certain without seeing. Those are the best ways to debug it, though. Look in the main flow where the error is occurring. It will spit out that ID. Set the recursion policy to ignore the error. Check for anything that's dynamically assigned, because even if it can't hit the main like template flow or something along those lines, decisions may see it's a template flow of something that's nested and throw that error. So yeah, I would recommend opening a ticket support.com. I'm sure as soon as they see that environment, as soon as any of us see that environment, I bet we could figure it out within just a few minutes, but I cannot display that here. And they'll be able to go over, what's going on there. But yeah, very good question. That's how you handle that issue. Alexander, let's see. Hey, I'd like to remove the mange section on manage section on user actions on a report for a specific user group. Okay. Let me allow you to talk because that can definitely be done, but that's going to depend a little bit on how you have these sections set up. Okay. So you're trying to remove manage actions, correct? Are they
Yes.
seeing these actions displayed on a dashboard?
On a report, yes.
On a report on a dashboard. Perfect. All right. Let's go into that. I'm just going to create an account report real quick.
I'm trying to use the user visibility actions now, but just seem like they're not working. And I watched the video on YouTube and it seems like it's still not working.
Okay, I see. There are it's a little bit tricky to set up sometimes. All right, let's save that. That's fine. And then we're going to add this to a page real quick. Display. Oh, what happened here? It's backwards. Oh, that's funny. Huh. Okay. Well, pick our existing report. Save that. And then let's see. Behavior actions, filter actions by category and by name, right? So let's see what the default is, and then we'll go into the filter from there. So let's add this to a public page. Do dashboard test. And then we'll add that page. Okay. And now if we click on that, that should display the accounts. If I right click, we have all these options and we want to remove everything that's in the manage category, correct?
That is correct. I want the whole managed category gone.
Okay, sounds good. So let's go and confirm that it's not actions and categories because I know these things the process is correct to filter it here, but sometimes the way that decisions reads which actions are which, like under categories or names is not ideal sometimes. So yeah, well, we just filtered out everything, didn't we? So that's main module, right? That's because there probably wasn't an add category. That was probably just called main. So let me go back and we're going to filter out main. Wrong one. Let's just do manage. See how that goes. Save that. Save that. Exit. Dashboard. No actions. Yeah, that's what I was concerned about. So I think the way we have to do this is going to be a little bit more compartmentalized. So let's go into here. Behavior. Don't filter out the category. We're going to filter out by name and we're going to call this edit. Save that. Don't filter out by category because I think, yeah, okay. I think I know what's going on here. So this is what we're showing is the edit category, the edit action that's under manage, right? That's what we chose to show here within that. What's going on is that I'm going to remove this just so I can talk about it a little bit easier real quick. Okay. So these main, manage, other, and relations are not the things that are getting filtered out as categories when you select categories. The things that are categories are these. So this add is a category. this more is a category, and all these are individual actions. It doesn't see manage as a category. So the way to filter these out would be to allow the other actions, which is get account ID, add relation, view relation, and this would be a category here for add. So add, remove, groups, and add. I'm going to add those two back just to show you what's going on here.
Also, how would I go and open the? I don't see the option just to kind of open the dashboard, which is weird.
You don't see the option to open the dashboard. What do you mean?
Like to edit it, like you're going back in yours
Oh,
and
I'm going to
changing
the
it.
page. I'm going to the page.
Okay.
Yeah, you can edit directly from the dashboard by doing this as well. Select all up here and hit edit page data at the very bottom, and then hit edit page, and that will take you to the same place. And then so for filter actions by categories and by names. So for name, let's see, names that we want to show would be.
And you said edit page? I can go to edit page and do that?
That's correct. Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
So what you're trying to add. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I think add was a category. That's right. Add is a category. Add is not a name, so it's not showing anything. But yeah, those overarching categories that get added are not actually coded that way as called names and categories. Those are just you can call them sections almost. I don't know what the official dev approved term for that is, but yeah, these don't really get filtered out in the same way. You kind of have to treat each action individually as either an action or category like more or category like add.
Now, I want to let you know, these are assignments that they have access to change. And I thought I was supposed to use the action assignment rules, visibility rules on those.
You can absolutely do those too. I was just filtering at the report level. I did
Okay.
not know that these were assignments, admittedly. I just saw there was some sort of entity displaying here, and I was just showing you how to filter it report wise. But yes, you can. So that would filter it for everyone. But if you want to filter it for certain groups, then yes, we would want to make sure that the I don't remember it off the top of my head, if I can be honest. But I do believe that we would hide that on the. I'll check that and get back to you, Alex. I will confirm as far as doing that specifically for the user groups. But if you're just trying to hide the actions in general, that's how you do that.
Okay.
Um, yeah, let me. I know it's not hard. I'm just
Hmm.
blanking on it, so I will make sure that I get back to you and send you the instructions for that.
I mean, I've already seen the instruction. It just seems like it's not working for some reason. And even when I was on with, I didn't call for the specific issue, but we were doing it, and he ran through and did a visibility rule on top of our I want to say their configuration on our project configuration, and we created a rule and it didn't apply. But by that time, it was the end of the call, so we didn't have time to go over it.
Gotcha. So you did like the add folder actions and configuration, that sort of visibility rule? Or oh no, that's for the never mind. I'm looking at the wrong thing. My bad, my bad. So let's see. Who were you on call with, if I might ask? If you remember.
Oh, I just realized I was on mute. It was Sean Hall.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Interesting. I I will talk with him. He knows much more about that stuff than I do. He is very knowledgeable. I will I will take a look into that. So it's not hiding the actions. So when you say it doesn't work, is it hiding everything or is it not hiding anything?
Sorry, I'm on mute. Um, yeah, we're trying to do action visibility rules, but maybe it's I see we have action visibility rules and page visibility rules. I'm not sure if I have to use the page ones instead, and that's what's causing the issue.
Um, you should be able
Because
to use action visibility rules if you have that extension set up.
hmm,
Um, I was curious, when you so when you said it's not working, everything is being hidden or nothing is being hidden?
nothing at all is being hidden, so
Nothing's being
something
hidden.
in there is happening. And I
Okay.
have the group, I copied and pasted, and I mean, it should have worked.
Yeah, so you're saying this group and hide it for this particular action or something like that, or this action
Correct.
name, this action category.
Yes, I
Uh,
even tried going down to the action name and just specifically hiding an action name. No
hmm,
cigar.
nothing there. Interesting. Okay. I'll sync with him on that. Yeah, I can check. I'll check on my end. I'll send you what I find out because I don't know that off the top of my head, but I'll make sure that we can get you an answer and start working on that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Sure thing. Okay. Uh, Kumar, let's see. I'm having an Azure hosted decisions environment and you need to use the Azure Key Vault. You need to add the connection string in the environment variables. How do you do that? Okay. I'm going to unmute you because I have a few questions with this architecture. Why can't I find you? There we go. All right, Umar, you should be able
Can
to
you hear
talk
me
now.
now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, yeah. So see, as my question, I just added my question. So in that, we have like Azure hosted environment for decisions, and basically we don't have that access on the Windows the way we have on Windows machines, right? Where I could actually add the environment variable. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to use the Azure Key Vault. We already have steps for Azure Key Vaults to
Mm-hmm.
access the Azure Key Vault key and all. In Azure, if we add that Azure service module, but that expects me to add the connection string in the environment variable. So in my scenario, in the scenario of the decision server like hosted on Azure, what do I do?
Ooh, let me see here. So, so you can't alter the YAML in that Azure
I don't have
environment?
even access to YAML.
Right. Okay, how are we going to be able to get that connection?
And the strange thing is that, that step, it's not even asking me to provide that, let's say, connection string as a param. Even if that was the case, I would have passed it, but that's not the case. So what do I do?
Let me figure it out. So let me pull in the Azure module real quick just to make sure we're on the same page here.
Okay.
Hold on, it's gonna take a little bit. I like broke my decisions instance like 10 minutes before this and thankfully got up and running again, so things might be a little wonky. Azure services, here we
Yep.
go. Give it a moment. Oh yeah, I guess it wouldn't need message queues now, wouldn't it? Cool, installed. Let's add it to our project real quick under manage, configuration, dependencies. Oh, modules. There we are. Confirm. All right, cool. All right, let's go see that step because I've not worked a lot with Azure and decisions, but
Okay.
this might be able to figure it out just with previous knowledge
Sure.
if this works out. So,
You should see Azure here. In
yeah.
integration, I think.
Integration. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it's like there should be Azure. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. So, Azure Key Vault.
Yeah.
You get the secret key value.
This is
Let's
just a
just do
sync.
a normal one. Yeah. All right. So
Mm.
secret key value. And that's gonna be the key name, secret
and
key,
key wall name, no connection string.
no connection string. There's no other way to do this because Azure, yeah, it's not Azure Storage Blob. No, that's not it.
I tried everything actually.
Hey, that's valid. Hey, that's the way to go here. So, so we can't grab the connection string.
Yeah. So even I tried like, without passing the connection string because obviously I don't have a way to do it. And then it basically, threw me an error similar, like related to connection string only. Because obviously like it doesn't know, right? Where does it need to go and get the data?
Right, yeah, and I don't know enough about Azure setup to tell you where in Azure that kind of the database environment variable could be provided. Here, I'll hold on. Let me at least
But can
grab.
you tell me one thing like forget about the Azure environment, right? Azure environment key.
Yes.
Any variable that I want to add at the system level, which is kind of, work similar to the Windows environment variable, is there a way that I could do it somewhere? It could be anything.
I know that for containers you do the YAML file. As far as local install, that's getting more into Windows architecture than Decisions architecture as far as adding it to like the server level instead of the Decisions setup, because I'm assuming your hosting is like a self-hosted Windows type install hosted in Azure, not a containerized environment.
Uh, well, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's not the containerized
That
mostly.
does matter. If it's containerized, it has to have a file, some sort of YAML that's configured in the decisions environment. Here, I can pull it up here. I've got actually
Okay.
containerized environments set up, so give me
Okay.
just a moment
Sure.
here. Or at least I've got the YAML file for it. So let me pull that up, and I'm going to show you what this thing looks
And
like.
from where, I mean, let's assume that, if you have access to YAML, from where would you pick it up?
YAML is treated. YAML will be. Do you know where your sayings XML is?
No, I know what YAML is, but what my question is like, from where would I pick it up? Because right now, I don't even have that location. From where do I see that?
I don't know where you see it inside of Azure. I don't know how Azure treats those particular properties. That's what I'm trying to say, is that I understand as far as decisions goes, and I wasn't asking you what the sayings XML is. I was asking you where you saw it, because that would be a similar place wherever you see that in Azure, where you would find the YAML instead if you're hosting a containerized environment.
Most probably, I'm not using the containerized environment, mostly.
Okay. Okay. I'm pulling it up. Where the Yeah, it's a I don't know if this is gonna load properly. Where are my environment variables? Oh yeah, sorry. The YAML kicks it off for that. I think we're actually looking for the environment variables file. It might be decisions.env. That might be the file that you're looking for. I don't know where to look for that in Azure. I can ask some of our people around that. I have not hosted in Azure specifically. And when you say hosted in
Okay.
Azure, I assume you mean the application and the database? Or how is that connection working?
So basically, when we actually took the subscription of decisions at that time,
Hmm.
we mentioned that, we actually need the decisions hosted on our end, but it's
Okay.
being maintained by the decisions guys. So even if we have to like restart the server or do anything, right? Any configuration change, we can't do it as of now. We have to like create a support ticket and the decisions team actually does that.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I would if we assist with hosting, I would absolutely reach out to us to make that environment variable change to add that proper connection string in order to fetch that. I don't know exactly where that environment, I don't know where in Azure the decisions environment file is located by default.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can ask our people about that because I do know people who manage that stuff that would be able to get that information. And I can absolutely talk about them with that, but I am not the one that is currently like hosting it myself and going in there and making the changes, if that makes sense. But
Oh,
I can
that's
definitely
fine.
ask
But the
them.
main problem here is, this step itself should have given me that option.
The key value name, I'm assuming being the
So key vault name is basically the name of that key vault thing that we create in Azure. So let's say, KV hyphen ABC or whatever. And
right,
secret name is the name of the individual key that I'm trying to, or secret that I want to get. Let's say my secret name is like environment name, right? ENV name or whatever. So I'm
right.
trying to get it. But then for for me to connect to that KV hyphen ABC, I need to tell it, right? Like connect where, what are the creds and whatnot. So
Right, you have to configure, I'm guessing in Azure services. So like you download the module, right? I'm assuming Azure settings got set up in here so that we know exactly where to where to go.
it doesn't come anything here. Nothing is here.
Okay. Okay, so this goes here, and then you get the key value name. It has to know where to access that too. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very strange. Oh, pardon me for just a moment.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Hey, this is Robert. I did some research on the sidelines. I sent it to him. He's reading through it right now, trying to figure out because we do have some internal service or sorry, internal kind of support stuff that we keep on our side of the line. So a lot of it, the language is outside of what I'm familiar with. So I'm forwarding it to him because he has more insight to it. So he's just reading through it right now.
I think that Azure connection may need to be set up specifically in order to.
So if you look at that prerequisites, yeah.
Yeah, there's a I'm assuming you check the docs on the Azure Key Vault
Yeah.
step, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and you have those set up, installation, yeah. I'm not sure where because it's hosted and it's not in that environment. I don't know that off the top of my head. I actually would recommend reaching out to ops about that because they would be the ones that configured that in its place. So I don't know your setup and I'm not sure where you need to reach out to
Okay.
that. Yeah. I just don't know that off the top of my head.
No problem.
It's a good question though. Because it looks like this has come up before. So I will look into this and I will do a little bit of looking into this and even if you do reach out to support, I'm going to do some research on this and let you know what I find regarding this issue.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, Alexander, you had another question. Can decisions execute a function in our snowflake environment? Um, I'm assuming you're talking about making an external call, kind of like the Python module where it calls an external service to run a particular action or function. Is that what you mean by that?
Yes. So our DBA has basically set up a query, and he has set that query behind a function that he wants us to call from a button press essentially on a form. And so when that button press runs, it should run a refresh,
Okay.
or it will be a refresh. But anyway, the important part is that when we press the button, we want it to execute something inside of Snowflake. Like I know decisions can bring data inside of itself from Snowflake, but can it like execute a function, you know? I
Ooh,
assume that it can. I just wanted to double check
I think so too, but let me check.
because I've
So,
definitely I've done updates, which is essentially relatively the same. I mean, I've pushed my data into Snowflake before, so
right, and if
I'm sorry,
we
it wasn't Snowflake, it was something else. But anyway, the concept's still the same.
right, so we go integrations, databases. No, it wouldn't be an external service. I'm assuming it's not something like this. So it would be setting up a connection with a Snowflake database. Snowflake. Ooh, hold on. Thought we used to have Snowflake on here. I'm not sure where that went. Hold on. Let me check something real quick. Quick question. Are you already connected to the Snowflake database?
Yep, I'm able to pull data in and use it.
Okay, cool. All right. And then let's see here. I'm gonna check one more place here real quick. This is something I would need to hmm, so let's see. We're trying to execute a function after we've integrated with Snowflake because we need to be able to run external service if there is a connection created on something. So hold on. I don't know if stored procedure would act in the same way on Snowflake as it would in a SQL database. That's where
I
my
mean,
thought goes to
it
because
should. I mean, it should because it is just a stored procedure that we're calling.
you can create it from
Mhm.
right there under the database integration types, under database integration, add
Mhm.
procedure, and then pick the connection. You'll have the ODBC Snowflake connection set up,
Mhm.
and it should, if it doesn't show up in here, then there might need to be a different process for setting this up.
But you can grab stored procedures as the important part and then assign it in decisions, right, and run them.
Exactly. Look at this. It
Okay,
has
great.
default value. As soon as you run it and save it, it creates it as a step that you can use in the flow designer.
Okay, and then can I assign that? Oh, then I guess if it's a step, I can add it to a button then.
Yeah, exactly. If it's a step, you can add
Perfect.
to a button.
Great. That's all I needed.
Yeah. Let me know if this doesn't work, please, because I'm curious. If it doesn't, I want to ask someone something. So I just want to make sure that I'm reaching out to the right people on my team if this is not functioning as you would expect it to.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Yeah, I want to close this. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Glad to go over that. And then so the two things that I've got on my plate is looking into the action visibility rules on the entity assignment table or I guess entity assignment entity, and then figure out how this Azure Key Vault functionality works. I think I've got a lead on that. I just don't have the info quite yet. Okay. Anyone else have anything else? Because I was gonna say I was ending it early, but it's like, no, we're actually like 40 minutes into it. This went by fast. So here, let me mark these as complete just so that we know they got answered. It's a lot easier that way to work with. Okay. I think this is going a-okay then. Going once. Going twice. All right. That'll be the end of our lunch and learn today. Thank you all for joining, and the last one for this week. Adios.